Someone told me that the tunes that you come out to say something about personality, so I think that's really nice that the host thinks I'm fun. Strap in. As Vic said, I'm Anna. I'm quite a curious person. I'm always asking questions. Questions I've been asking recently have included, is a chalkboard the opposite of a cheese board? So thinky on that one, fair enough. What idiot called it a moon cup and not an egg cup? Yeah, only about half of you will get that one. And I'm not sure you're ready for this one either. If two straight people do anal, is that cultural appropriation? Asking for a friend there. But as well as philosophy, I also worry about the environment. I'd like to say I'm an eco-friendly comedian, and what that means is I will be using recycled material tonight, so you're welcome. But one of the big things to do with climate change at the moment is, of course, fast fashion. And I'm really trying to avoid fast fashion, as you can tell. Not really into fast fashion or fashion of any description. But no, I like to dress like this on my way home, on my way to gigs, because I know if I get attacked on my way home dressed like this, I can be sure it wasn't my fault. And otherwise I won't know, so. But also I can just intimidate them with this cat. So it's like, you said you wanted pussy. But yeah, so fast fashion, it is it's one of those things that contributes to my sense of climate anxiety. Did you know the worst US state for fast fashion is, of course, New Jersey? Sorry. But it's difficult if you're worried about the climate. So I have what I call climate anxiety. Other people call it that as well. I haven't just made it up. But I also have like regular shitty social anxiety. And I'd say that's worse because, like, at least if the world ends because of climate change, my mother won't keep asking why I still live in her house. You know, so there's that. But it's hard as well because a lot of the sort of things we can do to improve our impact on the environment are actually quite problematic. Like, all the solutions have problems. So, for example, I started using a plastic-free conditioner, right? Used a plastic-free conditioner. It gave my hair a condition, namely dandruff. I wish I was joking. And to sort out the dandruff, I had to go to the pharmacy and get a medicinal shampoo of which the active ingredient was coal. So I was literally washing my hair, making the whole situation worse, rubbing coal into my head. Just trying to do my bit, guys. But I also, don't know if you've heard this, meat is a massive contributor to climate change. So I'm a flexitarian, which means I would be a vegetarian, but I'm morally too weak to do that. And my sister is quite judgy about this because she's vegan, and she's like, ugh, dairy is so polluting. And I'm like, look, okay, I've stopped eating beef. So what I've essentially done there is cut out single-use cows, okay? So every little helps, this is all I'm saying. But one of the things I do to try and sort of combat all my various anxieties is my mum actually recently bought me a mindfulness colouring book. Because I don't know if you heard about this, is exactly what the Buddha would have wanted, right? The path to nirvana is now in paper chase. This is good news, right? So I went to visit my mum the other week, and she gave me this colouring book, and she gave my sister one, and we were sat down while we were staying over for Sunday dinner, and we were doing this colouring book to try and sort of just calm down and be a bit relaxed. And my sister was like, I've gone outside the fucking lines again! She was literally that close to reaching enlightenment. Just, I'll show you what I did in my mindfulness colouring as well, because I found it was actually a very therapeutic, creative exercise. Really helped me connect with my feelings. Just lovely. Another thing I saw, I live in Oxford, and I saw a poster recently for something else you can do to combat climate anxiety. I saw a poster for climate anxiety yoga, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Let's battle deforestation with a bit of cultural appropriation. Did they just spend the whole time doing the tree? Be the tree you want to see in the world. I don't know. Talking of trees, if a tree falls down in the woods and no one is around to hear it, I've failed at dogging. But people who do yoga, they often say things like, my body is a temple. Have you heard this? My body is a temple. And I like to say, I'm not really a yoga person because my body isn't a temple. My body is more like a National Trust property in that it's a lot of effort to maintain. But we get a lot of visitors! Yeah! Stop. It's not actually true because I'm in a long-term relationship. But there's a discount for members! Yeah! That's not actually true either because I'm bisexual. But there's damp in the cellar, yeah! That one actually is true. But don't clap that. But that's only because to try and counteract the cost of fuel, I always double up my trousers, so I'm playing a game of thrush and roulette right now. Well, that got a bit real for you there, I'm sorry. So as I mentioned briefly there, I am bisexual. Anyone else? Yeah! So I didn't used to talk about it very much because as I mentioned, I'm in a long-term relationship with a guy, so it's like, it doesn't seem that relevant, but then I realised, you have to, if you've got a platform, it's good to use it to talk about solidarity, or like to generate solidarity, I should say, show solidarity, and like just say, like, we exist. And there was recently a campaign to sort of boost this idea of bi visibility. And the campaign said, you can't spell invisibility without spelling bi. Now, you've realised that's a stupid campaign because you also can't spell visibility without spelling bi. And to be honest, right, spelling doesn't always have implications for the moral meaning of words. Like, you can't spell funeral without spelling fun. Actually, that's a bad example because I'm getting lit on Monday. So never mind. I'm not the only one, apparently. That's great. But anyway, also, if you're going to try and argue with homophobes and biphobes and bigots in general, spelling is not the way to go. It's not really their strong point. Like, people were complaining that LGBTQIA is too many letters. Just imagine talking to a bigot and being like, spell invisibility without spelling bi. They'd be so confused. But it also kind of implies that being bisexual and being invisible are like inextricably linked. And maybe that's what biphobia is, just fear of ghosts. And we're coming up to Halloween, like maybe people are just like, ooh, I like it both ways. And like, it has a lot of like cultural connotations for things like the film The Sixth Sense, right? Can you imagine if the kid was like, I see queer people walking around like regular people. And then at the end, it turns out Bruce Willis was queer the whole time. Sorry if that was a spoiler for you, but it was like 20 years ago. So, yeah. I think I'll leave it there and not spoil any more films. But you've been absolutely delightful. Thank you so much.